So today we're diving into the world of one of the most exciting young voices on the double bass, Felix Moseholm. Born in Denmark, Felix started on the cello before making the switch to bass, following in the footsteps of his granduncle Erik Moseholm. Since then, he's worked with jazz greats including Samara Joy, Brad Mehldau, Wynton Marsalis. He's become a force on the New York jazz scene. From Juilliard to NPR Tiny Desk, his journey is nothing short of inspiring. So let's get into it. So, Felix, thanks for taking the time today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We were just talking before we started recording that I think I'm going to be the first video interview you're giving, so I'm honored. But I think
Yeah,
but maybe that's, but you're still pretty young. So how old are you again?
I'm 27.
27. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you're still in your 20s, but you're definitely setting the bar, pretty high. I came to hear about you from working with Brad Mehldau, so I'm sure that's been super exciting, to be playing with one of the greatest so early on.
Oh yeah, that's been a real dream come true for sure. Yeah, very exciting. Uh,
How did you meet Brad?
I met Brad through Jorge Rossi, the drummer, um, and me and Jorge had played together a bunch in different constellations. Um, and then I think in COVID they had a performance in Europe. Um, and there was all kinds of complications with like getting people from America to Europe at that time. So I think they were looking to to play with someone who was already in Europe, and then I think my name got in the mix in that way. And then we played a week in Switzerland, and it was really exciting experience. Uh,
Look, something positive came from the pandemic in a sense. If the pandemic never happened, you never,
yeah, yeah, it was the
pretty
pandemic
wild.
was a weird time. I honestly I mean, it was of course very hard, and there was, I think it was interesting the way that that kind of enforced space in everyone's life, given that nothing like no medical emergencies happened. Like it created a lot of positive things also for people. I think not
Oh,
to take away from
unquestionably. And, even the
yeah
interviews that I do, the reason I can do so many of them is because of this.
yeah even the Zoom thing. I haven't been on Zoom since the pandemic
We're
actually.
bringing Zoom back. So,
Yeah.
were you listening to those trio records?
Oh
Um,
yeah. Oh yeah. I grew up listening to those all the time, and I'm a huge fan of that trio. So it was yeah, it was a big deal for me, for sure.
Now, how do you overcome I mean, well, unless you didn't feel any pressure whatsoever, but I'm sure you still felt some pressure, right?
Yeah, I felt a lot. I mean, yeah, of course. It was very it was very I was very nervous, of course. But Jorge and Brad are both very, very sweet and awesome people. So they were really sweet at bringing me down to earth and not make. I mean, I didn't feel like the way I was feeling nervous was getting in the way of the music. It was just the music was so genuine that it was just a kind of an energy that was part of it. That yeah, it's just how I felt. You,
Yeah,
you
no,
know what I
that
mean?
that no, that's great because I talk to a lot of people and when these things can happen, someone gets the opportunity. How sad would it be if those nerves got in the way and you really couldn't enjoy it? So it sounds to me like
Yeah,
there's a lot of enjoyment now and you overcame the any whatever nerves there were originally.
I think it's all about how you use the nerves, because the nerves is just it's just kind of an energy and for me, whenever I get nervous, which I often do, I get nervous sometimes even when I have to play at smalls or something, like but it's all about how you take that nervous energy, because the nerves come from like some kind of, like you really have some expectations to yourself, and you want to perform at a certain level, or you don't want to look dumb or like yeah, you feel self-conscious, some kind of self-conscious thing. So I try to just, when I feel nervous, I try to just put all that energy into really preparing as well as I can, so that when I'm on the stage and it's like, okay, we're playing this concert now. This is the hour or whatever that it all comes down to. Then I can trust that it's somehow it's I've done everything I could to put all everything I need to execute inside of my body. And then I can kind of counter those nervous thoughts with just trusting that I've at least prepared to the best of my ability. And then if I completely mess it up, at least I did the best that I could.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, well, that's beautiful because I love the honesty. You're talking about the nerves because a lot of jazz musicians will just they say, "Oh, this is I don't get nervous. This is where I'm the most comfortable." But I think even for those really experienced people, it does still happen. I've heard even the like rock stars talk about that those nerves still happen.
Yeah, I think it's also just if because you care. And I mean it's a being nervous is not always like a bad feeling. It's just like a little tingle of excitement, like, oh, this
Yeah,
is
it's just an energy. It's not, it's
yeah.
that's
And I
all.
think it can be a positive energy in the music if you can find a way to just sit in that like nervousness and excitement is like it's very close to each other. So it's yeah, I think it's all about just finding a way to sit in that energy
Yeah. But even playing with
trust.
so many greats too now, some of the ones I listed, I'm sure sometimes you got to pinch yourself a little bit, right? You're like, I mean, at least it must feel surreal, especially being so young.
Yeah, it's I mean every that's it an interesting thing about because I mean I play with those people you mentioned, but I also play with a bunch of other like I play with everyone who wants to play because I just love playing. Um and I think an interesting part of get having been fortunate enough to have opportunities to play with some of my heroes has also been to see because especially today, my generation and we're brought up like interacting with our heroes like through consuming all kinds of products that they made and watching them on YouTube and stuff like so there's this distance we they seem like gods or some different kind of entity, and
I'll
it's been real eye-opening to get to know some of those people that I maybe had like a little bit of a like, wow, these are larger than life people, and to see them as human beings, and to see that for the most part of the day they they eat a slice of pizza and they
Yeah, they wash their hands.
yeah, they're
They
just
like
people.
movies.
Yeah, but also to be able to see that some of that um like some of that greatness that makes them like they're able to like really concentrate like bring that part of them that's great out in themselves, but that greatness is something that is in people you could encounter at any little jam session. Like there's a lot of people that are really good that we
Well,
don't
we just don't know them
that are
too.
not as famous, as
Well, that's
so.
why I do the podcast as
Oh
well
yeah,
too. But it's interesting because I'm almost 38. So when I used to go see concerts in New York when I was in my early 20s, 21, 22, I looked at when you're younger, like in your early 20s, you look at, some musicians a certain way. But now when I go and I'm much, not much older, but then you see it's like, oh, they seem more like colleagues in a sense. So even just getting older, that feeling changes, and it's definitely strange because you still look up to them.
yeah. Oh yeah, and but I think yeah, I don't think that that because someone is your hero, like you should always treat them as human beings. But I think yeah, my point is also just like the people that you're around every day and the people that you meet at a jam session, even though we're not like they're not presented to us through this commercial vehicle where we're like encouraged to to look for the greatness in them. We should maybe try to do that for ourselves,
Yeah,
for
celebrate
the
everybody's uniqueness.
and look for it, like spend a little more effort trying to find it
No,
in
I
people.
think you're totally right. And it's this is so refreshing to hear someone, speak the way you're speaking about just treating everybody the same. It doesn't even and I think you're also talking about non-musicians as well, just treating everybody, with kindness and, as, treat someone like you would want to be treated, and you're aware of that.
Yeah, I mean it's not always easy because when you play, like it's you get to a very deep part of your personality that sometimes can be hard to fully be in control of. So it's
What do
not
you
always
mean?
easy. But I mean, like, but when you're playing with other, like it's when you're playing, especially jazz, like it's somehow a feeling of letting go of yourself in a way, and you're interacting with whoever you're playing with on a very deep personal kind of subconscious almost level because it's all these micro decisions like how much space are they taking up, like how much are they controlling the music, how much are they listening to other people, um so so yeah, I don't know what was it. um
No, but I think you're talking about that everybody's unique personality, the little idiosyncrasies about them, their what if you want to call them deficiencies, the whatever makes someone, everyone has their stuff. Everything is all there. Everything comes out when they play in a sense. And
yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is that when you're playing with someone and you're dealing with such a deep part of their personality or humanity, if you will. I mean, sometimes you deal with like human beings are multi like there's a lot of stuff going on, and
oh, we're
we're both good and
multidimensional.
bad, and yeah, there's beautiful sides and not so beautiful sides in all of us, and you get to see all of that when you play with each other. So so sometimes it's not always like super easy to do that, but it's a good aspiration. I think that's a good thing to aim for, at least, in
And you're
playing.
open to playing with anybody, you said. I mean, it sounds to me like if someone is in New York and they call you for a gig, and the money is right,
Yeah, I'm
you're
there.
open.
Yeah, I mean, I think also living in New York, you kind of have to do that because rent is pretty expensive here. And but I mean that I also think that's I try to get back to that feeling that started me made me want to start playing music, which is was just a pure excitement and curiosity.
Can I ask you a
And
question?
for sure,
Um, you know, I when I started playing music in New York to try to make a name or whatever you want to call it to gain experience, I did around 100 gigs for free.
mm,
Have
wow,
you had to did you have to do any sort of gigs for free when you were starting out? Because you're a generation. You're about 10 years younger than me.
yeah. I mean, I've definitely done a lot of stuff for free, and like I remember I used to, like whenever people asked me for lessons, like in the last couple of years, I always um like there was a long time where I didn't charge people because I didn't feel like I felt like I was almost getting a lesson in teaching from teaching them more than I trusted my own ability to teach at the time. So I didn't charge people for a long time, but I haven't played many gigs for free, but I mean I have done it for someone I really wanted to play with for sure, and I think that's admirable. But I mean you only have so much time, and well, yeah, you got to make that rent
Well, yeah, and I
here.
mean, this was also a different time too. There were also way more
Yeah,
venues that
that's
were
true.
open to doing that sort of thing, like playing in the same place like 3 times a week,
Oh yeah,
or just to get experience.
yeah. But I mean, I play most things also because I feel like as like last year I was touring a lot, and I remember starting to. It was a very different feeling, like playing consistently with the same group all the time, and musicians on a really that were really on a high, super high, and really far in their musical journey. Um, and I felt like it's a funny thing because it's almost like the better the people you play with are, in a way, it gets easier to play with them because they lift you up so much. You know, I mean, the musical horizon is broader, and there's more. There's you can get to far deeper things, but also like the amount of stuff, like the amount of energy you have to put in to make the music work is often a lot less, I think, when you're playing with someone really good. So I think when I play with with like someone I don't know, or someone who might just be starting out or something like that, I always find it to be a really good and rewarding challenge to just find, like, almost like a Sudoku or something, like how can I lift this person out? How can I make this musical situation work right now? Even though, yeah,
I mean,
you know
this
what I
is, I
mean?
mean, this is like, this is stuff that the stuff you're talking about takes decades and decades for people to kind of figure out. Were you like, when did you become this, self-aware about the whole process? Like, was it pretty quickly after starting to play jazz, or did it take a couple years?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I always played a lot, and I think as bass players also, we're like we're kind of forced in a a position kind of like that because our job in a sense is to support and to lift people.
True.
So I guess like what makes what makes bass players really good is not always like what they can play, but more like how they can lift people and how they can make other people's ideas work. So I think just maybe the nature of my instrument and the role that it has socially in a band um always maybe forced me to think more about those kind of things.
Um, yeah, absolutely. I think you're totally right. So, talk to me a little bit about Juilliard.
Oh yeah.
When did you graduate?
I graduated, I think it was like 2 years ago or something now.
Did you enjoy Juilliard?
Yeah, I it was yeah, I enjoyed I mean with jazz schools there's always like there's things about it that it's not clearly good or clearly bad, I think. And I think there was the good things about it were incredible. And some of the things that were frustrating about it were there was definitely like things that was challenging for me to exist
Can you give me an
in a
example of
school
each of those
environment.
things, though? Like, I'm just kind of curious,
For sure.
the good and the
Um,
bad, I guess.
like I met some of my some incredible friends, and I got to just be around musicians that were all on a really high level and that were really serious about what they were doing and dedicated. And there was a lot of different kinds of musicians that wanted to do different things. So it was great to just be in an environment, in a creative environment where you were provided with a lot of resources to figure out what your voice is and what you want to do. And then the teachers that I had there meant like has still to this day mean the world to me. Like Billy Drummond and Gerald Cannon and Ben Wolf and those teachers that really made an extra effort to like to see me and be there for me and still to this day when I talk to them, like they mean everything to me. So that I think um, is what made it all worthwhile. And then also for a foreigner like me, being able to be in America was a big plus for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I guess some of the challenges was when you're in um like a music school or a college is I mean it's also a business, right? So they have to provide certain statistics and like you have to get grades and you have to adhere to a curriculum that might not always be the most like that's not a system that works for everyone. And I think especially musicians are often people that maybe like have a little bit different ways of learning that don't fit into like a traditional school system as well. So I
Some
think,
thrive in chaos and some thrive in more
yeah,
organized learning.
yeah. But I think ultimately it was for me it was not always healthy to get so adjusted to being in a system where everything I did was because someone told me to do it. And I think once I got out, I had to refine that a little bit, um, doing things that I wanted to do. And I think that's a challenge when you're in the music school is to remember what it is you want to do and to navigate all these people that tell you like, oh, you need to learn this, and you need to learn this, and you need to do this. And you have to, for yourself, find out where you're going to prioritize your energy and your attention because it's hard to have it like to do really well in all areas of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like some of the times when people are like that, it's coming from a good place. And
Hmm.
other times it just can be kind of annoying. Um,
Yeah.
and if someone, I think if someone said that to me now, like I would just be like, "Oh, you need to do this." I'd be like, "You need to learn how to like just stop talking to me."
Yeah. Also the whole way of measuring success in a school, I think can be a little bit problematic sometimes. Or like you like the way that you I mean that's not how life works because in when you're a musician it like you can't measure success like you measure it in a school. So if you get really I mean it's a good tool for it'll teach you maybe how to navigate the industry or something, but I don't know if it'll I don't know.
Well,
Not
no,
too
I know what
much.
you're saying too. I mean, it's also um, there's so much you learn in the real world
Yeah.
playing music that you do not learn in school, and that
Well,
is
you
also a
can.
challenge as
It's
well.
just maybe not encouraging you to so much the system in there.
Sure.
But I
Well,
think you
no,
still can.
no, Felix, this has been so great, and I'm honored to do the first video interview for you, and I appreciate you getting back to me, and just want to say, wish you a wonderful rest of the year. So thanks so much.
Oh, thank you. It was my pleasure.